It's always a delight to have you join us on the program Nigeria Decides. It is a special program specially designed to prepare you for the 2023 general elections. Don't forget, on Saturday, Nigerians will go to the different polling units and vote for their preferred candidates. My name is Egusa Malao. Daniel Praise is with me, and of course our guests have just joined us. We have Christopher Ojekere. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you.
We also have with us Egbe Samuel. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are set to dissect the topic. The 2023 general elections, the president winning. Don't forget, we must reiterate that the incumbent president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has assured Nigerians that he intends to leave office at the end of his second term. So a few days or a few months to the termination, to the terminal date of the second term, we might just see President Muhammadu Buhari retire to Daura, his hometown, because he has made that very public. Okay, Christopher Ojekere, does the comments of Mr. President gives you assurance that we'll surely have a smooth transition at the end of the general election?
I think beyond comments, what I usually look at is actions that are related to the comments anybody makes concerning any subject.
Okay.
I think with the actions I have seen, I am fully confident that the president is committed to a smooth transition that will come through a fair, credible, and just elections. I also think that he has the will to hand over in May 29.
Okay.
He has the will to conduct the election in February 25th. I think his actions, his body language, and his pronouncements all cohere in that direction. So I think so.
Okay, Daniel Praise. I think what Christopher Ojekere has just told us seems to buttress the fact that we have a president that has exhibited integrity in terms of his desire to leave office.
Well, Christopher Ojekere has just said the ball rolling, but now the question now should now be, has the president performed well? Now, this is the government where we had so many shortfalls in almost all our sector, from the economy, talking about insecurity, educational sector. We had one of the longest strike in our university system. So if you want to be fair in your submission, has the president done well to leave?
All right. We in Nigeria as citizens cannot pretend that we don't know that the past 8 years have exacerbated all our political, social, and economic fiasco. We have had the worst form of governance, the worst form of economic output, the worst form of political and social output and unrest. Insecurity is at its highest. Our economy has spiraled into what has beaten economies in terms of description, whether you want to call it inflation or whatever you want to call it. So we have at that point a picture that is very gory as far as the president's performance in the past 8 years is concerned. Okay. I was referring specifically to a specific agenda, so to speak, of the president, which is that he's committed to handing over. He's committed to going to Daura to rest. We cannot call what we have had in the past 8 years any form of development. In fact, the last time I was in the studio here, the APC guys that we had discussions with who tried to defend the president, I felt sorry for them. I told them it is a very hard task to try and defend the policies of the president for the past 8 years. And by the time they went into argument with me, I ended up pointing out to them that they have just shown that there's been a vacuum from 2015 to 2023. Because they kept heaping all the blames on the past PDP government. Now, if you are heaping the blames on the past PDP government, it just shows that there was no governance. In the interim, Because what was the government supposed to do? You came in the promises of correcting what you said were the ills of the Northern government.
Okay.
And you came on 3 plans. You said you were going to fight corruption. You were going to develop the economy or help the economy or improve the economy. And that you were going to end insecurity. Now, if you take each of these planks of your promises, in each of these stratum, we have a worse situation than it was in 2015. And these are statistically proved. As I speak to you now, Zamfara and Niger State are almost wholly at the grips of terrorists and bandits who give news conferences and they are published. In fact, one of the bandits told us in the Naira swap that the Naira swap was supposed to target them as a way of shortchanging them with respect to what they collect as some in banditry. But as at the time we were struggling and breaking our banks, he said, we have not just the Naira, the new Naira, we have even purchased arms with them. And then he displayed it in a video. So now the Northeast has not changed from the insecure situation it has always been. The Northwest is the same thing. It has extended now to the Southeast, where on a daily basis we are hearing INEC offices bomb, police stations bomb, individual homes bomb. So the president has actually left the state of insecurity worse than he met it. If you go to our economy, we are importing rice. Jonathan left rice at about 18,000 naira a bag. Today you are happy when you get a bag of rice. Nigerian made rice, which was the policy of this government. The policy was supposed to checkmate, the Nigerians' foreign exchange drain by the importation of rice. Huge billions were spent every year importing rice. So the president said he's going to come up with a policy that will check that. We all applauded it and supported it. Today to buy Nigerian rice about 35,000 to 40,000 naira, just to give that staple food which every Nigerian eats. So that, if it's an epitome of the economy, he has left it worse than he met it. Now, if you come to fighting corruption, we have heard of huge sums that we didn't hear during Abacha. We hear civil servants embezzling billions of naira, owning over 100 houses in Abuja, and nothing is done. We've heard of all sorts of corruption cases. Nothing is done. Nobody is behind bar. In fact, the one that was behind bar, Jonah Jang and the others, have all been released. So the president have not done anything by way of fighting corruption. The only thing that he can do now for him to be remembered in history is to keep to his word and leave a legacy that he transited, from his regime to another regime and supervise that election in a free and credible election.
Thank you, Christopher Jekere. We'll just go straight now to Igbe Samuel. Now, as a follow-up to that, your opening remarks now. On Saturday, Nigerians are expected to vote for their preferred candidate. In your own opinion, you have a perspective of the kind of president you are looking out for. Can you tell us?
Well, okay, let me come in by this.
Yes.
I have gone through the 3 political parties.
Okay.
From the days of Grace Group that transcended into APC.
Okay.
To coming through, from PDP first, from the days of Tony Aneni,
okay,
when he deregistered some of us because we were voiced in PDP, to transition into Grace Group, to APC, and back with the governor to PDP. I've seen that there's no difference in political parties. The difference is in the individual vying for political positions. I was the state coordinator of Obaseki Shabu Movement, OSM.
Okay.
The Mitra that brought in Obaseki into his second term.
Okay.
And I was part and parcel of everything that played out. So I came to the fact that what we need in this country is not political parties in quotes, but individuals who have the capacity to man the positions that they are vying for. And that was what led me into Labour Party. Not because if I stay in PDP or APC, I will not be recognized, but I want a government, I want a nation that my children will be proud of tomorrow. And I was looking for that visionary leader who can take us to that promised land. That was how I came into Peter Obi. Okay. And coming to your question for the Saturday election, and the kind of president I'm looking forward to, what makes a president is the ability to look at a problem of a nation or a country and provide solution. Not just because he's experienced or not experienced, or like we're hearing everywhere. Come Saturday, I am looking forward to having a president that has the requisite knowledge, character, integrity, and the willpower to move us to where we are now, to where we are expecting to be. And in the 3 political parties, I found out that we only have one person.
You are just emphatic. 3 political parties. We have 18.
And when I mean
18 political parties.
I mean 3 political parties, we know that in Nigeria today we have 3 leading political parties. And
I still don't accept that on this program.
Okay.
We have 18 political parties, and when you call, they all have presidential candidates.
Yeah.
So just talk about political parties.
Okay, in all the political parties.
Yes, I think that's better.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'll correct myself. In all the political parties, I found out that there is only one presidential candidate that fits into what I desire Nigeria to be, and that's the Labour Party. So come Saturday, I'm looking forward to seeing Peter Obi be voted into power because of his capacity to deliver. Not because he's an Igbo man, or he's a Northerner, or he's in Labour Party, or he's in PDP, no. Because of his personal capacity to deliver. That's what I'm looking forward to see.
I know that you want to be very personal because you have so much confidence in the presidential candidate of the party you belong to.
Yeah.
But in a broader perspective, we want to see the qualities of the kind of president that you think can take Nigeria from this doldrum. So I want us to look at it from a broader perspective, not just personalizing any particular presidential candidate. We'll allow you a bit to quickly comment on that before Christopher Ojekere.
Yeah, the reason why it seems I'm narrow-minded about this is I have taken time to read through the dossier of all the presidential candidates. I remember when I started, the first person that ever invited me to join him was Kwankwaso. We had a 3-day meeting in Abuja, and when I came back from that meeting, I said, no, this is not the person. So I didn't just decide on Peter Obi myopically. I took time to study all of them. Yeah, I have had dealings with Atiku when I was in NPA and when I was in Steve Daw. So I had a close relationship with him. I know him to an extent. Tinubu, yes, maybe from AD, we were both in AD together, to ADC, before before APC. So I have worked with almost all of them. But I saw a difference in the one I am with right now. That's why it seems I'm very narrow-minded about, looking at him as the president I'm hoping to see in
Igbesa, I don't know how Igbe Samuel, to an extent, people see the Labour Party as a party that have politicians who don't really have stake in their various political party, and they see the Labour Party as an umbrella to achieve their goals. And to an extent, they've actually shaded your presidential candidate, Peter Obi, that he has been in APGA, and he actually sworn that he would never leave APGA. If he does, he actually said some things anyway, which is in the public domain, but we are not actually going there. But they see the Labour Party as a party that houses people who doesn't have stake in their various political parties. Because from your narration and your analysis, you've had a share of pair in almost all the political parties you've mentioned. Why Labour Party? Is it that you don't have a stake again in your previous political parties? That's why you're pitching tent with Peter Obi?
No. That's far from the truth.
Okay.
That's far from the truth. I remember when they started the PCC Presidential Campaign Council for Atiku, And when they set up the first platform, I was in all the platforms. That showed that I still have stake as at that time. So I desire to see a nation that will move us from where we are now to where we want to be. That's why I joined the Labour Party. It's not because I don't have stake.
Okay.
And I bet you, if you go to my local government, I'm from Eastern Central local government, if I still decide to go back to PDP today, it will be a thing of joy. It's not because I don't have stake. It's not because they don't have stake. But you see, people get tired of the status quo and they want change. And this time, you know, in 2015, when Buhari was coming in, I decided to be very careful with the kind of change that I'm looking forward to right now. I remember I was one of the strong APC members in Edo State. In fact, I was driving the branded Sienna for Buhari. But I'm very religious. I won't take that from me. Okay. I remember that day I went to Kenaland and Bishop Oyedepo mentioned something and the thing just trickled into my ear. And he said in 1983, in his words, God spoke to me that Buhari was going to come back and the whole street will be filled with blood. That was his words. When I got back home, I was very disturbed. And I started to have a second view of who I was supporting. To be very honest, at that point, I withdrew. Because I'm a victim, let me use that word. I have been a victim of both kidnapping, having my children not coming back to the country that I love so dearly, and losing things I have invested in this nation. The only thing I have left now is to put in my own quota, whether I'm succeeding or not, but consciously put in my quota to see that we all work together to revive this nation. The first time I met Peter Obi, let me quickly talk about it, was not even on the political platform. I was in Boju's church, Bojo Imanji's church, on platform when he came to speak. That was my first encounter with him. And I asked him a simple question that will aggrieve other politicians. The way and manner at which he answered me, man, I was pleased. I was already looking forward to seeing him becoming the president of this nation. My kind of polity has been always looking for a visionary leader, not just because I belong to a political party. I remember when Obaseki was coming in 2015. That was the same thing. I remember at Maguiro Hall when they addressed the political, followers for the first time. I fell in love with him not because I knew him, but because of the agenda he came to deliver, called the Mega Agenda. So I have always believed in visionary leader, and I saw that in Labour Party, in Peter Obi. Let me not use the word party, because like I said from the beginning, it's not about the political party you belong. It's about somebody who has the willpower to deliver what he said he's coming to do.
Okay, thank you, Igbe. Christopher Jekiri. I can see that Igbe is so passionate, and it's going to be very difficult for him not to personalize his discussion. But all the same, it's all geared towards enlightening the public. We are also, on to this edition of Nigeria Decide, we're also reviewing trending issues regarding the 2023 general election. So we're looking at a number of issues because this election is very, very paramount to the development of the country. Okay, maybe Christopher Jekiri will just be precise now to give us a broader perspective of the kind of president Nigerians should be looking forward to as they prepare their minds on who to cast their vote for.
Okay, I'd like to appreciate
okay.
And I wouldn't use the word emotion, but
okay.
The sentiments, positive sentiments he has expressed, and that it is representative of many Nigerians who are looking forward to development. Now, one of the reasons why it is so difficult to run a country that has been run down academically and educationally is that you have to deal with so many worldviews. What we seek is somebody symbolizing the solution to Nigeria's problems. But that must begin from understanding what those problems are. You must understand what the issues are before you can identify who can solve those problems. I'm sorry, I need to use an illustration. For instance, everybody would think that the Naira swap policy, which gained traction and popularity among the Nigerian masses, that the very party itself that initiated that policy would have as its protagonists members of that party, especially members in the executive class. But it is the greatest irony that the very antagonists and opposition to that particular policy are coming from the same party that formulated the policy. Yeah. So now, how do you deal with it if you are a chief executive? If you do not understand the motivating factors why your own, party members, party executives are fighting the policy. So you have to understand the problem. We have a country that has become totally polarized today. Polarized across ethno-religious, boundaries. When people were talking about ethno-religious boundaries and problems, before now, many analysts thought that that was outdated. But we have seen the development and trajectory of our politics today, and we realize that that's still very much at home with us. So you have to understand it. And you have to understand what led to that polarization. Why Nigerians are become where the far corner can no longer hear the far corner. You have to understand tribalism in our system and understand the people who are holding the countries in the jugular and the kind of interconnectivity and interconnectedness between them and among them. You have to understand why NNPC, for instance, has not been working. Why it's been there and every year gets 100 billion, from our budget for turnaround maintenance, the refineries I'm referring to. And then you have about 1.48 trillion since 2015 to 2020, which is why Serap is in the World Cup now, asking the government to come back. You have to understand why these things are not working. Then you have to also understand, therefore, the man who has the reach, the influence, the vision, as he has mentioned, to be able to handle and deal with all of these factors and then move us forward. There is what we call ideas. There are things that should be, and there are things that are. If we are looking for the ideal president for this country today, by the time we finish our definition, we almost find nobody. So we are going to have to deal with a pragmatic president. Okay. The situation now requires a pragmatic solution. So we look at it from the eyes of pragmatism. Pragmatism is this. Who is that man that can, first of all, end this polarization? That will be trusted by North, South, Christians, Muslims. That will say, okay, look, let's drive this policy. And people will not say, no, he's saying this because of this. Or he wants this because of that. Okay, people can say, let's give him benefit of the trust. Yeah. Because that from his antecedents, he has shown that he's a unifier, or he has shown that he is cosmopolitan, and all of that. Two, when you have different worldviews, and some of them very deeply entrenched in a large population of the country, you must carry that population along. If not, whatever your credentials, you have to deal with that political situation. So you are looking for a man that would be able to be trusted by that larger population and all the other large population segments of the society to say, look, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. So that's the kind of president we need. I like the way you put it. The one that we need. The vision. You are looking at a man that will be able to articulate. For instance, we have presidential candidates who have come out with agenda. I looked at the agenda. If your agenda speaks to the issues, then it means you have the vision to solve the problem. We'll just be praying now for you to have the political will. Yeah. So you have a man who, you look at the agenda, whose agenda has been able to articulate the issues. Issues of restructuring, for instance. I have been an apostle of restructuring. Look, I can assure you that whoever we put in Aso Rock, there are certain deeply entrenched factors that the deep states control in this country, that whatever he tries to do, if you don't deal with questions of restructuring, we continue to go around in circles. We must devolve, we must unwind this unwieldy national body that we have, whether bureaucratically, politically. We want to remain one as Nigeria, but we have to unwind. It's unwieldy. 943 MDAs, 541 corporations owned by the federal government. Now, agriculture that is going on in my backyard is controlled by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. Water is controlled by the Federal Ministry of Water Resources. Education, that is a cultural thing. And we have very diverse culture. The two major ones in Nigeria. Now you want to run education under one ministry. How do you do that? So these are the issues. And that's why we are saying we are looking for a man who has understood this miasma that we are in and all the interplay within each of these stratum, that he will not be able to get that response. Because to solve our problems, it's not the magic of an individual. It is the magic of the collective. But who is there now to be able to bring the collective together? You need that trust. You need that trust in the middle. Now, you are dealing with questions of secession, for instance. There are feelings within sections of country. And it is caused by, I'm sorry to say, the present regime. They now have mutual distrust. That when you are not saying, look, there's soup in your shirt, say, there's also soup in your shirt. If you say there is, what you call it, terrorism in Northeast, there's terrorism in Southeast. If you say there is banditry, there's banditry in Southeast. Are you following? So you already have that. And then it's increasing. The terrorism is increasing, the blame game is increasing. So you need somebody who would be seen as a bridge builder that can stand in the middle and bestride both sides and say, look, let's deal with that, I will be trusted.
Okay, now, talking about trust, Christopher Ojekere, from your analysis and your submission, it's obvious you are driving somewhere. Now, let me bring your mind to your driving point. Recently, the person you're actually trying to present to us as a unifier said that the governor of Rivers State is a chicken or is a coward that is just trying to hide in chicken's shield. Now, do you think at this point, someone who did not believe in the rotational policy of his political party, someone who has not been with the party for a while, in the word of one of the other party's stakeholder, he said he camped, decamped, and recamp. And this man now is back and he's running for the 6th time. Should Nigerians trust someone who was one-time vice president of this country, who was chairman of some of the sector and actually spearheaded the privatization sectors? Ojekere, will you be honest enough to say Nigeria should trust such person?
Okay. Now, when you asked the question, you said, what kind of man do we need? You didn't say we should profile. Because if we did, we will end up here profiling each candidate. And as I told you, when we started,
let's avoid
wait, let me just come in here. Please, let me.
Ojekere still has the floor.
Now, we live in the system. And I'm sorry, because he is here, I will take permission from him. He has just told you his movement from PDP to the what do you call it?
Labour Party.
APC,
what
Labour.
he's looking for. And I understand it. So, if we blame a man for the system, we lose sight of the answer. The question is, a man is in a system, and the man has become a victim of the system. The man you are referring to will tell you he won the 2019 election. You didn't see the results. But the court decided otherwise. You didn't see the interplay that went behind the court scenes. He told you he won the elections. Nobody has been able to dispute that. If you got the ticket that I will be contesting now, Now you are talking of not believing the rotational presidency, and I have to explain the details about that.
All right.
I am a corporate DP member. I am giving you privileged information.
Okay.
The party's tacit decision was that the candidacy of the presidency should come to the South. And then inside that tacit decision, the Southeast was being looked at. And Obi was the target. I'm telling you that today. Now, when Wike realized that that was going to go, he started this problem. To show you how serious the party was, the party zoned the national secretary to Anambra State, so that the national secretary can help Obi. Wike started his policy because he wanted to be president. And then Utom was his friend, so they set up a committee. The committee, Utom, could not come out to say this ticket is zoned to the South. He said it was open. When Atiku saw where they were going, he realized what the agenda was. We had thought if it was going to go to the South, let it go to the region. Atiku mentioned 2 regions. Said 2 regions haven't got it, the Northeast and the Southeast. So if it's going to the South, let's put our hands in the Southeast. So it should have been an easy ride for Obi. But that one will be it's in the public domain, although, but not as much as I am explaining.
Okay.
So those interplay, we are all guilty in Nigeria. If you've ever been in the public space, there is so much guilt. There are things people will say about you and are factual. We are now saying, after all of these experiences, who do we now need that have cognate experience to now look back and carry us forward? Who do we need that will command the respect of the cabals who are there pressing these buttons behind? And then the person who is sitting there is a puppet. And if he's not going to play game, they can manipulate the process to take him away or to make life difficult for him. These are realities in our political spectrum. So we have to look at that. Now, with respect to, there's another point you made, which I would have loved to address.
He is actually shedding the 5G governors.
Good. Now, the rest of the statement he made, if you are going to surreptitiously support a candidate and still, by cause, hold on to another party, I mean, you don't need to be described. You're already infantile. So to just put words to your action is no insult. As a man, you should come out and say, look, I'm supporting this candidate.
But we're supposed to
avoid
calumny.
Sorry, please.
We're supposed to avoid calumny.
Let me just chip in.
I
understand, but let me chip in something here.
What he said about the presidential candidate of the PDP.
I didn't read that anywhere.
Making comments.
It's on the public domain.
The comment I heard was from the national chairman.
Okay.
Who said he's a kid. Then the one article made recently said he's a coward. He does not have the courage to support his candidate publicly. That is what
so now putting these two statements together.
Yes, I mean,
please, can I come in here?
Yeah.
You see, in this country, one of the problems we've always had is speaking grammar. Using English to cover reality.
How do you mean?
Now we have seen practically these people. My learned professor, I think he's a professor because he's very fluent with his grammar, which I like, but I want to say this. Said something about trusting a candidate. On what ground? Is it from the end of the BPP? Is it from him becoming... You see, let me be very frank with you. If we are talking about Buhari's failure without referring to the genesis of the failures, which is the PDP, we are far from the truth. Dollars did not start growing from Buhari. I remember in the year 2000, I always refer to that thing when Gas Obaseki was still the group managing director. When I don't have the NNPC, I don't want to go into details of what happened when fuel was being moved from 19 to 23. At least I was still in the union at that time, student union, and we were in Abuja. We saw everything that happened. So this failure didn't start from APC government. I remember the reckless spending of Transformation Ambassador of Nigeria. And people were already crying that time that even if Goodluck come back, the economy is already failing. I don't support two of them. I am not supporting APC. I'm not supporting PDP.
Okay. So what's your submission?
What I am saying here is this. You have a party we are into. And we said the power wants to move to the south, east. If, like what my brother said is true, that the zoning, no, it is zoning, that's why I use, it's a conditional statement. There is zone to southeast, and Wike was trying to fight the system. Why did Atiku not stand with the southeast and say southeast must get it? If that's the fight in PDP, it's very understandable. Now, I didn't want to go into also sectional politics, because I believe whether you are from the east or from the north or from the west or from the south, as far as you can deliver, I don't really care where you come from. That's my belief. I don't care. But on this, the man he is talking about has not shown capacity to deliver.
How?
Because he has been saddled with various responsibilities that failed, especially when he was the vice president. We have seen it. I was one of those that were beaten by the concessionaire. And who were the people that got the concessionaire, especially when it comes to NPA? Now find out about Intel Logistics and how they took over everything that belongs to common individual because of power that be. And we heard him in one of his speeches. I said he's going to raise $10 billion by selling the refineries to his friends. He didn't hide it. He didn't hide what he's coming to do. How do you want me to trust a man that immediately after I lose the election leaves the country behind and go and live in another country? Go and check his investment in Dubai. Who doesn't even believe in the country he wants to govern? And you want to tell me that that's the man that has the that's the man that has the knowledge, the power, the goodwill. Goodwill what? If you want to, I remember in there was this riot we had when power was not going to be handed over to Jonathan Goodluck.
Riot or protest?
Protest, sorry.
Okay.
Protest. And one of the things, one of the things that endeared me to that protest was Femi Falana and Tunde Bakari having their kids at the front. And we marched behind them. They had their children. That's a nation they believed in. Not when there is a problem, you run away from the nation. When it's time for you to contest, you come back and tell us you have this solution. You don't have the solution. If you have the solution, you will not run away. I dare tell people that for me, as at now, as small as I am, I don't have a stake in this nation, for instance. But because I believe in this nation, even when it's hurting me, I decide that I'm going to live in this nation, I'm going to stay here. But a man that had so much, that had so much from this country, you take all the resources, go and invest it in another country, and come back and say you want to govern the same country you don't believe in? That's an aberration. Let's face the facts. We're already having, there's one part that people don't talk about.
Which part is that now?
And few months ago, we started seeing from Meati Allah, the Fulanis, that this nation is given to them by God. That they must take it by force.
That's what we cannot authenticate.
I know. I'm just saying that. I am saying that. I want to say that because when I was kidnapped, I'm a victim of kidnapping.
Oh, sorry about that.
Just here before the Ovia River, and the same Fulani people repeated that again and again.
Okay,
I don't want. That's why I said the part.
Ethnic group.
That's why I said the part that we are all dodging from. But the truth is, we should look at another 8 years. It's not about winning the election. It's about the aftermath of winning the election. Buhari won, but for the 8 years Buhari ruled, was there difference? Whether you're in PDP, you're in APC, you suffer the same fate. And that's why I have been speaking on this to people that I want to hear. our decision will not separate us from the aftermath of the decision.
But let me ask you one question before we continue. I'll come to you, Christopher Jekere. Now, do you think amongst the presidential candidates, do you think there's just one man that can actually fix the problem of Nigeria instantly? Do you think so? There's
nobody that can fix the problem of Nigeria instantly. But let me explain something to you. You see, I'm an engineer.
Okay.
If I'm erecting a building, a structure like this,
okay,
I will need the requisite knowledge to know the foundation
that
will sustain the building.
Exactly, the structure.
The structure. So, what I am looking forward to is somebody that can set the foundation. We tend to forget things easily. When Buhari was coming in 2015, we are all referring back to what he did in 1983. The war against indiscipline. He's a disciplined man. He's experienced. He has a net. What has the experience led us into? Let's look at it practically. What has the experience of Buhari in 1983 led us to? We are still coming with that same mitra to say this man is learned. He was a vice president. My question was, when he was a vice president, what was his impact? What did he do? Is there anything remarkable we can hold on to say he has done? Now, if you look at the leading presidential candidates, you find out that among them, there's one that has zero record of corruption allegations. There is one that has zero record of health challenges, which is very sacrosanct, whether we like it or not. You know, there is law of diminishing return when it comes to our human capacity. And once that's setting, it's not something that I can change or you can change. You cannot tell me now that you are going to be enlisted in Benin Insurance to play football at this age. I will tell you that you want to commit suicide. We are not looking at the age and health conditions of this presidential candidate. We are always saying we are supporting this person. We try to cover it up with grammar because this person is this person is that, because it's our political party. We know within our spirit that these people don't have the capacity to do what they want to do. Probably because age is not on their side, or because health is not on their side. We are not looking at it. We are not looking at fitness. We are not looking at intelligence. We are not looking at the present state of their condition. The man suffering for dementia wants to be president of the nation. How does that work?
Do you have any health certificate of the presidential candidates?
I don't. But for what we can see.
So, but thank you very much. Thank you. You've made your comment. But I'm not. Yeah, before Christopher Jekere will make his comments, I need to make this very explicit that the comments of our guests are personal, are not a reflection of independent television and radio. We need to get that very explicit to our viewer and to members of the public. Christopher Jekere, you have something to say?
Yes, I find this comment very interesting.
Okay.
And he would benefit from my response.
Okay.
You know, before you respond,
Christopher, yes, what we call idealization in literature. You have an ideal picture in your head, and so you come to convince your mind that that ideal picture will work. It is more sensible to trust a man that already has experiences and have faith than the man you have not tested, and you think that he would succeed just because he thinks it. Now, let me take them one by one. Once you are 45, you have one health challenge, not to mention a 61-year-old man. So that a man has not advertised his own, or it has not been advertised, doesn't mean that he won't have his health challenge. It's managing it. The one that have become obvious is the one we are saying. And Atiku Abubakar has not shown any obvious health challenge apart from his age. But the Fulani thing we are talking about, because I have to respond to them. When you say Fulani, you forget that the problem we had in the Niger Delta where I belong, the amnesty problem, was the most volatile region in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I was going to consume this nation because we were fighting on top of the mainstay of our economy, which is oil. It was a Fulani man who came up with the amnesty agenda that has kept Niger Delta peaceful till today. And let me tell you something. Atiku Abubakar was the one that had that policy. But when he lost to Yar'Adua, it's in the public space. He submitted it to Yar'Adua. And Yar'Adua, implemented it. So to profile somebody according to Amapi, you say you don't believe in that. So let's not bring that in. Because the Fulani man achieved so much. And we are the beneficiaries. The Niger Delta where I belong to. So if I'm going to use that, I'll look at another Fulani man.
Okay, but I don't want us to look at this ethnicity
yes,
thing.
Okay, so let's
I'm happy in your opening remarks.
Yes.
Then
when we talk about traveling outside the country or having businesses outside the country, I mean, Obi doesn't hide it. He tells us his businesses are outside the country. I mean, that's who you support.
No, but what I mean, listen, what I said,
Samuel, he has the floor. You will react, but let him have his floor.
You were criminalizing him for going outside the country.
No.
I mean, a man
that's not what I said.
Was not elected. You have a government in place. The best he can give is counsel and advice. And I'm just giving you one that he gave. When he still traveled outside the country, but he submitted that to Yar'Adua, and it was working. So that's why I talk about pragmatism. It's not idealization. He submitted, it was working. He doesn't have to be here physically to show he loves Nigeria. You need this. It's a gone away. You call him and he will give this prophecy.
Hold on, okay, all right.
Now, Obi is here, for instance, and you have a protracted case in the southeast right now, IPOB case.
Of course.
Can you tell us what Obi has done?
And the unknown government.
And the unknown government. He's powerless to do it, and I won't blame him for it. But to blame a candidate for a government that he's not in charge of for this security is unfair. Obi can't do anything about IPOB. In fact, when he was sitting before the Northern Assembly, they asked him to denounce IPOB and name it as a terrorist group. He refused to do so. And I tell you something, I agree with him. Because if he did that, he has denied his roots and origin. But the fact remains that he has done nothing about it. And so he has to carry that burden that I have not really done anything about.
Okay.
Now hold on.
Yes.
Now we are talking of democracy. It's on record that Obi did not conduct any local government election for 7 years. He conducted local government election 3 years ago. In that same democracy, Atiku, who you say has done nothing, we won't be talking of democracy today if Atiku did not defeat Tetem. And who was the precursor of Tetem? Obasanjo. Who brought Obi? Obasanjo. That's why I told you that there are interplays and interconnectedness. And so if we say we want to begin to profile, everybody is connected. Obasanjo wanted Tetem. He told Atiku, he said, hey, Adema was in government when he left, he's still there. What's his name? Pobia was in government. Mugabe was in government when he left. In 1979, they are still there. Why are you saying I won't continue? And Atiku said, look, you can't continue even if it will consume me and you. This is not Togo, this is not Zimbabwe, and this is not Cameroon. And Obasanjo became vindictive. Every corrupt thing people talk about Atiku today was from Obasanjo's book. Do you have any white paper? No.
Obasanjo's
most investigated.
Obasanjo's spokesman is not here. Obasanjo's spokesman is not here.
He's the most.
So will not allow you to do that.
It's the same Obasanjo that went around the country with Obi.
Okay.
Now,
you know, I said, I don't want us to go into details.
Yeah,
let me shock you. What happened between Obasanjo and Atiku through Mofa's shipping? I was part of it, and I will tell you details. I don't want us to go to your word against.
Okay, he told us to have enough information to brought Agbolao.
Well, Daniel Praise, thanks for that. Christopher Ojekere, I want to thank you. And Igbe Samuel, want to thank you.
No, we are not sure.
Yeah, it's, the argument is becoming heated, and that is what is expected because the problems bedeviling Nigeria need drastic solution, and we need that man, that president, that can actually fix this country. So on Saturday, the election will hold, and you will be able to take your decision. Well, we want to thank our guests because we have other guests that we must also allow. Yeah, so we just take a break now on Nigeria Decides. and we'll introduce our next set of guests.